Hello, good morning. Today is 17 March 2020. It's Tuesday today. This morning we had an online class. It was from 9 to 10, but the problem happened with it that I forgot to record because of some problems with my laptop I had in the beginning. So I think there was something that stopped me from recording. So just to help you and assist you, on what we have covered today, and secondly, for the students who couldn't attend the session this morning, so this will help you, a lot. So, I'll make it short video, I'll not, take long time in it because we only covered this morning, second part of chapter 4. We have something called Fitz's Law. So I will be covering very quickly what's meant by Fitz's Law and some applications of Fitz's Law. So that, you don't miss anything in the class. For the people who didn't attend as well, they will not miss anything. So let us start. I have my slides. So let us go back to my screens. Let me just open... quickly speak about last time. We have covered what's meant by ergonomics engineering, which is the physical engineering. So we say that it means the physic. If you see the screen, it means the physical fit between a human and the machine. So this is the key message or the key points I want to communicate. Ergonomics and physical engineering mean physical fit between a human and machine. So when you design your interfaces, whether it's a website or an application, mobile application, when you design the interface, you have to take into account that there is a physical fit between a human and between machine. And there's a key message here: making the design fit the user instead of forcing the user to fit the design. So this is the key message behind it. Last week we have covered, not last week, on Sunday, we have covered this. The key objectives of physical engineering or ergonomics engineering are two elements: performance and well-being. Performance means speed, accuracy, errors, reducing errors, time, and quality. Well-being, health, safety, and comfort when you use these interfaces. Performance and well-beings are achieved if there is a physical fit between human, PC, and task, and the work environment. The work environment, you have three elements in it: nature of the work, physical environment surrounding you when you conduct your work, and the workspace where you are during that when you conduct that work. If fit goes up, if the fit is high, which means performance and well-being will be high. So this is what we have seen last time: fit goes up, performance goes up. So let us go back to our content for today. We have something called Fitz's Law. Fitz's Law, there's a person, his name is Fitz. So this is not fit as fit. So there's a person, his name is Fitz. So he worked on a law, and the law named after him. And it's called Fitz's Law. So in simple, think of design or any interface and a screen. So it is the time it takes for you, as a human, to move on that screen between different objects. That's why it's saying here, the time it takes for a human to move a certain distance on that screen. When you speak in more details about this design and screens and interfaces, when you move your cursor and click on buttons or click on icons or menu, so this is the time it takes for you to move your cursor to this button and icon and menus. There is a formula behind it, forget about it. It's not a mathematical session here. The key thing is that to understand that it's the time it takes for you to click on something. Let us see this slide. So what is the definition of Fitz's Law in simple term and a clearer sentence? It is, think of an interface now, whether website or application or mobile application. It is faster to hit larger targets on that interface, which are closer to you, than smaller targets further away from you on that screen or on that interface. This is the true. And basically, there's another definition for it. how quickly people can select a target on that screen or that interface or that let's say website or application. This is a common sense law and used by all without knowing that they are using something called Fitz's law. Most of you have designed websites, application, mobile application. So this has been used there without knowing that it's called Fitz's law. Okay, let me just play a quick video and then I will come back to you on this. Let us see this video.
Would you believe that one of the most important, fundamental, and common sense laws of design is also one of the most frequently ignored? We can't believe it either. You may or may not have heard of Fitz's law, but if you've designed any interfaces, you've almost certainly used it. A researcher named Paul Fitz created a model that describes how quickly people can select a target. It's important to know this law if you're designing websites, mobile apps, device interfaces, or even physical dashboards. Fitz's law says that the time to acquire a target is a function of the size of the target and the distance to the target. Here's the equation. The important variables are the target and the distance to that target. A target is what the user is trying to interact with. Maybe it's a button to tap or a form field that needs to be clicked into. The distance to the target is how far away that target is from wherever someone starts out. Large targets that are close by have the lowest interaction costs, while small targets that are far away have the highest interaction costs. Here are a few common applications of Fitz's law. Buttons to complete an action should be close beside the active elements. Important actions should be larger so that they're easier to select. With menus, drop-downs, and any type of interactive list, shorter is better. This is a guideline rather than an absolute rule. Sometimes a list has to be long to show all of the options that users need to see. This seems like common sense, but it's one of the most frequently ignored laws of design. Remember that large targets and less time needed to find them keep interaction costs low.
Within this video, I have seen the same message that I was repeating earlier. It's faster to hit larger targets closer to you than smaller targets farther away from you. Let us see this example. We have two layouts for sending emails. So there's one layout here and there's another layout on the right and the left. Which one is easiest to send an email? In the class we have discussed that this is an easiest to send an email, the one on the left. Why? Because things are clearer, the compose button is closer to you and it is bigger as an object. When you see the one on the right, when you want to send an email you have to come and look where's the option. It is called new, so it's a bit farther away from you and it is not big enough so that you can notice it. So this is one clear example of it. We discussed about why brake pedals in cars are usually bigger than accelerator. The clear answer was it is closer to you. The brake pedal, it's closer to you, making it faster and easier to hit in an emergency situation. So when there is an emergency situation, you want bigger things in front of you so you can see it clearly. So that's why they are bigger in size. Thinking of machinery buttons, when you go and visit any factories or when you see any big machines, usually you will see the switch on button is a bit small, the switch off button is bigger. Why this is bigger? For the same reasons we discussed earlier. You don't want people to start machines by accident. That's why switch on button is small. But in case of emergency and if there is any incident around, you want people to be, to find the stop button quickly. So that's why you want them to be very easy to stop if there's any emergency or there's problem. So if there's any accident or anything, so people can find the switch off button very easily because it's bigger and closer to you. Think of the screen as well. This is for sending feedback. Let's say you have a problem with Batilco or Zen or STC, so you want to send your feedback to them. So you will put your comments here and you will fill this space. The key buttons for you to focus on are preview. You want to preview what you have written, and in case you want to cancel sending this feedback around. So that's why both of them are closer to you and bigger in size, because these are the ones most frequently used by people. And we have this one. This is not that important for people when they want to send feedback, because it's learning more about how to send feedback, feedback instructions, guidelines. That's what is hyperlinked and farther away and smaller inside, because this is not important. These are the two important buttons. That's why they are closer to me. We have seen some of that in the video. This came number one. These are few applications of Fitz's law. Number one came in the midterm exam last semester. So we have two screens. This is wrong, the one on the left. The one on the right, this is the correct situation. So what is wrong with this one? Sign-in button is farther away and smaller size from the important object here, which is email and password. So the correct how to fix it, bring sign-in buttons closer to your elements, which are email and password, and make it bigger in size. So this is clear application of Fitz's law. Within the second one, it says important action should be larger. Most of the spam emails and advertisement emails, you will find one button which is subscribe, very clear. You can notice it, you can see it because bigger in size and closer to you. When you use drop-down menus as well, and don't make long list of 20 or 30 items so that people get confused, they don't know what to select. So it says make them shorter. So within this one, you have three options only: yes, no, and not sure. The clearest example, the easiest example of Fitz's law is the keyboard. So the most ones used by people are enter button. So that's why close to your fingers. Shift button is close to your fingers. The space button is very big and it's very close to your fingers. The ones which are not used frequently by people are, let's say, the escape button, which is farther away in the corner here, and we have delete button is farther away here as well. We have the insert button is farther away from your fingers, because these are not used frequently by people. So this is in short what is meant by Fitz's law. I think there is a video, there's another video. Let us see the video and then I will come back to you. Let us see one. This is basically summarizing Fitz's law in simple language.
Welcome to User Experience Design, Fitz Law. This learning module provides an introduction to Fitz Law and explains how it's applied to user experience design. Let's start with, what is Fitz Law? To be honest, Fitz Law isn't really a law at all. It's actually a descriptive model of human psychomotor behavior that's written as an equation, like this one. In the formula, MT is the average time to complete the movement. A and B are model parameters. D is the distance of movement from start to target center. W is the width of the target. Fitz Law is a model of human movement. It tracks the time it takes to point at something, taking into consideration the size and distance of the target. So far, this seems super confusing. However, Fitz Law is easy to understand. Fundamentally, it proves that it's faster for you to hit larger targets that are closer to you than it is to hit smaller targets that are farther away from you. If you look at the keys on your computer keyboard, you'll notice that the keys users press most often, the Enter key, the Space bar, and the Shift key, are larger than the other modifying keys. These keys are larger, so they're easier to hit. They're also closer to the alphanumeric keys. Keys that are used less often, like Insert, Delete, and Escape, are farther away from the alphanumeric keys. User experience designers use Fitz Law when creating user interfaces. Good UX designers ensure that any time they want users to interact with the software or the interface, they make it obvious. Targets are easily located and easy to use. UX designers also know that the farther away a user's mouse is, and the smaller the on-screen target is, the longer it takes someone to move the cursor and click on the target. We know that the size of the target matters. The larger the target, the easier it is to hit. This might lead a designer to think that the bigger buttons are always better. However, that isn't always the case. Fit's law is a curve, which means that smaller objects are easier to click if they're made larger. However, larger objects are already large, so if they're made larger yet, they aren't any easier to click. Because of this curve, the benefits of increased size begin to decrease. This is actually good news for designers because it frees up more on-screen real estate and ensures on-screen objects are appropriately sized for their intended use. Good on-screen target placement is critical. As a UX designer, the physical locations of your screen elements are important. The Gutenberg diagram shows that users tend to move through screens from top left to bottom right. Therefore, consider placing what's important, like the buttons that call users to action, in the bottom right-hand corner. When designing an on-screen layout, ask yourself if your critical icons are the ones users are most likely to use. Are they on the path that your user's cursor takes? Remember to apply Fit's law to your design principles. When designing graphics, text, and screen icons, always consider their sizes. Are they appropriately sized for their intended use? Consider making any text labels into links. Try making the whole phrase a link, rather than just one word. On the Whisk Online website, the entire phrase, "Switch to WTCS categories," is a link instead of just categories or WTCS. This makes the target bigger and easier for the user to hit. Keep in mind the devices that your customers are using. If you're developing a touchscreen interface, ask yourself, are the elements big enough and spaced properly to allow your user to pick just one? The spacing between on-screen elements is just as important as the size of the elements. Remember Fit's law. It's faster to hit larger targets closer to you than it is to hit smaller targets farther from you.
So let us go back. So just in summary, what's meant by Fit's law? It's faster to hit larger targets closer to you than smaller targets farther away from you. So this is in short what is meant by Fit's law, and this is exactly what we have covered this morning in the online class using Microsoft Teams. The key messages from this, you should. The key messages from this session or this recorded session, whenever you design interfaces, whether it is a website or an application or a mobile application or a device, try to always use Fit's law. So this is number one. By making things bigger and closer to you so that people can notice it. It's number one. In chapter 1, we have spoken about 5 design principles. I believe some of them I remember. One is visibility, consistency. We spoke about affordance. We have 2 more. I forgot them now. But it is not okay. The difference between this course and other courses that in other courses you only go and design or develop your website. That's it. But in this one, you are thinking of the design principles and guidelines before you design or develop your website. The Fit's law is very important to consider in developing and designing the interfaces. Please apply Fit's law on your project. In your project, it's not just building any application or building any website. No, please try to apply Fit's law. Please try to apply the design principles, the 5 design principles we have discussed, because the scoring is based on how you are applying the design principles, guidelines, and Fit's law. In chapter 8, I believe we have, in more details, we have around 7 design principles and we have 5 design guidelines. So these are all should be taken into account when designing your interfaces or when you work on your project. So this is the key message I want to send around when discussing Fit's law. Number 2, you have the assignment. That we discussed last Thursday, which should be submitted by Thursday. So don't worry about timing. So you can send it until midnight of Thursday. So don't worry about that. What we will be discussing on Thursday are humans' capabilities and limitations. We discussed this a lot in chapter 1 and chapter 2, but we'll be discussing it in more details on Thursday. Whatever we'll be discussing on Thursday, this will help you in completing your assignment, because we are discussing human capabilities and limitation, and especially the 5 senses. So when you design your website or when you design your interface on application, you have to take into account the vision and the hearing and the taste and touch. The 5 senses should be taken into account. Number 2, you have to take into account, disabled people as well. So the people have problem with their vision and hearing and touch and taste. These ones as well should be all they have physical impairments. So these should be taken into account when you design any interfaces. So this is what we'll be covering on Thursday. Last semester we have discussed this as groups in the class. So we have called it game-based learning. Unfortunately, cannot. It is a bit not practical. It's a bit impractical to have it in Microsoft Teams. So we'll be discussing it briefly on Thursday. This is what we have covered today. Hopefully, you will like this video, and hopefully the people who missed the class this morning, they will find the recordings of this class. I'm sorry that I couldn't record the class this morning because of a technical problem, but I'm fixing it now. Hopefully in the coming classes everything will be recorded. So see you on Thursday inshallah, and have a good day. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.